Happy Friday, everybody. What is up? Hope that you had a wonderful, wonderful week and you are ready for the weekend. I'm looking at myself. I still got sunscreen on. I was working out in the yard today. It is a hot one here in Atlanta. Trey in the chat says, drink your water. It's a hot one. Yeah, man. It's got to be over 90 today. And I was working in the yard, doing my husbandly duties today, catching up on things, cutting the grass, and just all that kind of crap. So yeah, it's been a hot one. I jumped in the shower right before I got here into my studio to do the show, and I thought I scrubbed off all the you see all this white shit still on my face. I thought I got it all off the sunscreen because I caked it on, but it's still all over me. It looks like powder out of my face. Anyway, hey, you got to protect yourself. You know what I'm saying? I don't go out in the sun like that no more. I used to, but we avoid it these days. So it's been a rough week, man. I've had a very busy week. I haven't really talked about this much on my show, but for the last few weeks, my mother's health has been pretty rough. And she's been going through some stuff. And this week, it got real bad. I had to go out of town and help take care of her. She lives in North Carolina now. But so full disclosure, guys, when I say that there's been a lot on my mind the last couple of weeks and my mind hasn't really been focused on boxing, there's several reasons for that. But so my mom, I think I may have mentioned this on the show before. I'm not sure. But my mother has lupus. It's an autoimmune disease that I think usually affects women more than men. But essentially, this disease attacks different parts of your nervous system at different times. And it's attacked different parts of her body at different times. But most recently, it has attacked her brain. And she's been having issues with memory, confusion, things like that. And as I mentioned a minute ago, she lives in North Carolina now. She lives in Charlotte, which is where my sister lives. A bunch of my family left Detroit and moved down there for work because the economy is really good down there. And long before I ever moved to Atlanta, right? So anyway, that's where she's at right now. And she had a rough few days where she didn't know where she was. And she thought she was in Michigan. That's where we're from. We're from Michigan. And that's where she thought she was. And all kinds of other stuff I could talk about here for, forever. I'm not going to do that. But she was in a bad place. So, my sister has a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. So her hands are full. And I was talking to her and I said, hey, let me get up there. And, me and my wife literally drove up there in the middle of the night on Monday. Didn't get up there till like 1, 2 in the morning and got my mom to the hospital and all this stuff. And I won't talk long about it, guys, but she's doing a little bit better, but things are not really good right now. So it's been very difficult, but Tiffany and I just got back to Atlanta literally last night. So, today was a little bit of catch-up day, and so that's why I've been out cutting the grass and doing all that. Why I still have sunscreen residue all over my face. Anyway, yeah, man, it's been tough having that in my mind, and then my wife being pregnant, and then some other things, just life things, has really taken a lot of my focus. And then now it's been a week since my fight last Friday, where I lost a split decision. I've talked to you guys about that. I've talked about it on a couple different shows. I realize now just how unprepared I was for that fight and how my focus was just not on it. I was looking past it. I was just trying to just get through it, and just learned a very valuable lesson that if I ever do something like that again, or the next time I do it, I need to be 100% dialed in and not let anything else get in the way. And that's why they say, boxing is a young man's sport, man, because the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more things are going on, the more you have to lose. And that's why there's more on your mind. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now, man. I got a little disoriented, just kind of trying to get everything, together in my brain. It's been a rough one for the whole family. With everything else going on, it's just been like, damn, just one thing after another. They say, when it rains, it pours, right? But fortunately, we have some good fights to look forward to this weekend, and I'll be covering that ESPN card tomorrow. I'll be covering that for ringtv.com, so you guys can look. Janibek is fighting for an interim middleweight belt since Demetrius Andre doesn't seem too interested in fighting him. He's going to fight it for the interim belt. That way, if Andre decides to vacate, we thought he was, then he kind of went back on that, claimed an injury. Some people suspect that the injury is BS. Who knows? Anyway, we don't know what Andre is going to do, but Janibek fighting for that interim belt. And then also on the card, a friend to the show, everyone loves this guy, Jamel Herring, Jamel Semper Fi Herring, former United States Marine, former world title holder. He is making his ring return since that tough defeat here in Atlanta to Shakur Stevenson last year. So that's a nice little doubleheader, and I will be, like I said, covering that for ringtv.com. So you guys can look for my recap there. And then, yeah, so we got some other fights too. So we can talk about that. I would show you guys weigh-in footage, right? Like I've been doing on these Friday shows, but every single time I do it, the man strikes me with a copyright thing. So I'm not even going to do it no more, especially DAZN. DAZN is the worst offender. I don't know if it's just a setting that they have on our channel, but they don't seem to understand. Like, it's not like I'm showing fight footage. I'm just showing weigh-in footage, which you're sharing for free anyway on your damn YouTube channel. When I show Top Rank or PBC weigh-ins, they don't seem to give a shit because they understand, oh, this is free promotion. Cool, free promotion. DAZN doesn't seem to understand that yet. There's several things DAZN just needs to iron out here in the United States. They really get it right a lot in other markets, other parts of the world. But here in the USA, man, they just don't get it sometimes. Also, I wanted to talk about pound for pound, the pound for pound debate. Let me share my screen here. If you guys really, really want to get an in-depth look at our process, Doug Fisher, is usually Doug. It's not always Doug. Sometimes it's Diego Maria. Sometimes it's Tom Gray. They will post an update, usually every week, but sometimes, it might only be once or twice a month, depending on the activity going on, right? But lately, it's been so busy. It's pretty much been every week. They post an update on Ring's site with the updated rankings, whether it's pound for pound, divisional, or all of the above. And this week, following Jermell Charlo's undisputed win in the rematch against Brian Castano, the big debate was, does Charlo rate pound for pound? And if so, where? And we went back and forth. And a couple of our writers, Anson Wainwright and Adam Abramovitz, they went back and forth hardcore. It was kind of fun just to watch their debate. And so Doug will post our conversation, the Ring Ratings Panel's conversation, and he'll put actual quotes in there from our conversation. Now, these convos are usually over email, but sometimes it varies. But, we have people from all over the world. So the best way to have these conversations generally is through email. But there's actual quotes, and Doug will take them and post them so you guys can see our process. And I think that's important. I don't think any other boxing media platform is this transparent with how they get their ratings. Now, I'm not saying our ratings are perfect. It's a democratic process. Human beings are doing it. There are going to be, at times, things that seem unfair or things that seem inconsistent, depending on your point of view and what you value when you rate fighters. You might rate recent work. More importantly, other people might look at overall body of work. You might look at what a fighter's done in one division. Some may look at what they've done in multiple divisions, right? It really is what you prefer. And we have a panel of folks from around the world that all have different points of view, and we chop it up, and the majority rules, So it's not a perfect process, never going to have a perfect process, but I really, truly believe, and I believe this before I ever was a member of Ring's staff, if you will. Even before I wrote for Ring, Doug invited me to be part of the Ring Ratings panel because he recognized, I guess, that maybe the talent in me to rate fighters, or he just liked my point of view, or maybe it was just that he saw I was passionate about this shit, more passionate than most. And you have to be really, really passionate to dedicate your time to something that's so unforgiving, because no matter what we do, we get shit for it. So anyway, I'm sharing my screen here to show this tweet that Doug posted with the ring ratings update. Of course, it has the article, the link to the article, but he copied several of us that went back and forth on this. And some of the responses, I just wanted to share with you guys just to show a little of what we deal with. By the way, maybe one of these times on my Friday show, I'll just show you guys my DMs, because there is just a list of DMs that say all sorts of racist stuff against me, or say just racial slurs and stuff, or they'll just say, you're a piece of shit, you suck dick, I hope you die of AIDS, I hope you get cancer. I mean, just stuff like and I'm like, dude, because you disagree with my boxing take, you're going to send me that DM? Like, I should just show you guys one time, because I think it'd actually be a lot of fun. We could just drink a beer. We could play a drinking game with my DMs. Every time I get called this racial slur, we do a shot. Every time I get called that racial slur, we drink a beer, whatever. I don't know. We'd be drunk real quick. But hold on. Let me just show you guys some of these quote tweets. Now, a lot of these accounts I've muted and stuff, so you can't always see them. But I don't know, a lot of these guys, you see, this guy right here, reading this should make clear how biased and inconsistent this panel is. You have people making arguments to discredit Charlo. So this person looks at our entire thing and focuses on Charlo because he's obsessed. This person just sums it up, a lot of garbage ass ats in one tweet. So this guy's making it clear he doesn't like the people on the panel. This person saying here, this guy's such a troll. How is Jermell Charlo a pound for pound debate? Says the guy who didn't even read the article, because some great points were brought up. Some really, really great points. And there's a bunch of other quote tweets that we can't even see because I've blocked the accounts. Here's a guy who says, y'all love Loma way too much. It's funny to me that people still obsess over Lomachenko, who, by the way, I talked about on the Ring Ratings panel, and I think I talked about it on my show Monday. I can barely even remember my show Monday because things have been so crazy. But I think I talked about the fact that he's probably not going to fight this year. And it's, I think, fair to at least consider removing him if there's no plans to fight in 2022. I made that suggestion. You guys can see the quotes on the article. And several other members of the panel, I think pretty much everybody was like, nah, Mike, that's too much too soon. Let's just wait. Right. So I was kind of voted down on that, but I wasn't even necessarily saying we got to remove Loma, but I was just posing the question, should we? Because he's not going to fight this year. And I could keep going here with all these comments, guys. You see it, so many of these I blocked. And, yeah, this guy, your list is way better than Ring's list. Loma shouldn't be in the top 10. They always with Loma. There's just this weird obsession with Lomachenko. I don't get it. Why does he make people so mad? And the thing is, if you don't feel Lomachenko is among the top 10 fighters in the world, pound for pound, explain why. Don't just hate. But a lot of people were really, really mad that we don't have Charlo in the top 5. And I'm sorry, but if you look at our top 5 and how accomplished those fighters are, Charlo, despite having a great accomplishment, being the undisputed at 154, he doesn't rate in the top 5 based on overall accomplishments and overall resume. He just doesn't. He also hasn't been as dominant as some of these other fighters on our list. So there's so many factors, but the pound for pound thing is funny, and people reveal their biases all the time. And again, it's one thing to have a preference. Okay, we all have preferences. When it comes to boxing, I mean, all things in life, you have preferences, right? But in boxing, as a fan, as an observer of the sport, an analyst, whatever you want to call yourself, a historian, there are certain styles that you're going to prefer. There are certain types of accomplishments you're going to prefer. It is totally okay to have a preference. There's a big difference, though, in my opinion, between a legitimate, logical, objective preference and a straight-up, emotionally, politically driven bias. There's two very different things. And a lot of you guys that respond so negatively and so full of hate, you're just biased. And that's me making it nice. Okay, that's me being politically correct. Because if I really, really went for it, I think, the word I could jump to. There's just a lot of you out there that just got a lot of anger and hatred in you. And you reveal it all the time through your comments and your just the bias. And again, I'm not saying it's bad to have preferences. We all have them. And there just might be certain fighter styles and stuff that you prefer. Cool. That's fine. And you might not give a shit if a fighter had titles in 2 or 3 weight classes. You care more about undisputed. Okay. If that's it, then you're probably going to have Charlo in your top 5. And that's reasonable. I just don't think he's among the top 5 fighters in the sport, but I think he's among the top dozen or so. I have him in my top 10, pound for pound. But I tweeted this earlier this week too. Not all undisputed runs are created equal, right? So if you highly, highly rate undisputed, okay, cool. How many undisputed are there right now? Well, Josh Taylor just got stripped of the WBA, so I guess we can't count him. But he went on a recent undisputed run. So did Usyk. So did Crawford. So did Canelo. All these guys are on our pound for pound list. So if you've got Charlo in your top 5 based off him being undisputed, well, you should have those other fighters rated pretty highly as well, right? And some of you say, well, I thought, that fight Taylor and Catterall was real close, could have won either way. Well, what the fuck was Charlo Castaño won? What was Charlo Harrison won? So if you're beefing about Taylor's close fight with Catterall, but you're overlooking Charlo's loss to Harrison and what a lot of people thought should have been a loss to Castaño, you're being biased. You're not being consistent. It's okay to have a preference. It's not okay to be biased. And some of you guys just constantly reveal biases and you don't like being checked on it. What's funny is the people that are the most biased and angry, and you guys have this just this animosity in you. You're always the ones going around calling everybody else names and labeling everybody else when it's you guys that are truly the biased ones with a real problem. And the other 99% of us of all backgrounds and beliefs and preferences look at you guys and just kind of laugh at you. I don't think some of you guys realize how much we're all laughing at you because most of us don't give a shit about the things you obsess over. We just like to see great fighters fight the best. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, whatever. We don't care about all the other bullshit that you guys regressively, in your regressive little lizard brains, obsess over. We just don't give a shit. So we're all laughing at you guys. Anyway, had to get that out. Had to start with that pound for pound debate. And then once again, sorry guys, I can't show you no weigh-in footage. I'm paranoid now that they're going to take down my channel just for showing some freaking weigh-in footage. So I won't do it. But everyone made weight as far as I know for these fights this weekend. Super chat from my man, Anthony Santiago. Thank you so much, Ant. He says, what's up, Mike? Can you talk about the decision to remove Chocolatito? Great question. I'm trying to understand that one. LOL. Prayers from Mama Montero. Well, thank you very much, brother. And yeah, man, it's been a really, really tough week. Boy, has it been a tough one, man. It just really puts shit in perspective, man. It really does. So you know what? Let me pull up. Let me share my screen again. Let me pull up the ring ratings, the updated pound for pound. If I already did this Monday, guys, I'm sorry. Once again, my brain is so scattered because of all the things I've been dealing with. If you're just jumping on the chat, my mom, she's not doing well right now. And I literally just got back in town late last night because I've been helping her out with some health issues. She's been in the hospital all week. Okay, here's our updated list. Hopefully you guys, do I make sure? Yeah, okay. I have them all up here and you can see. Okay. I really don't see anybody. I mean, I can see some people beefing with our top 5 and maybe some of the order, but I think for the most part, the 10 fighters we have on here, it's really, really difficult for me to hear anybody debate that these 10 fighters are not among the top dozen or so fighters in the world right now in terms of talent combined with recent accomplishments combined with multi-divisional accomplishments, combined with overall body of work. I mean, when you look at those things, this has to be among the top dozen or so, right? Maybe there's one or two that you feel don't deserve it, and there's somebody else you want to bring in there. But last week, we had Roman Gonzalez at number 10, and we bumped him off. The decision was made to remove him at number 10 and bring in Charlo at number 10. Now, I want it on record. I disagreed with that. I understand people went back and forth, and it was basically like the question was posed to me at one point. I think it was by Doug when he asked several of us that weren't cool with that decision at first, are you guys cool with this? And ultimately we said, yeah, that's fine, because it was the best solution of a few possible scenarios. Okay. Because in my opinion, not including Charlo in the top 10 coming off that win would have been worse than removing Chocolatito right now. I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion, and I understand it. And let me state clearly for the record, Chocolatito's accomplishments dwarf Charlo's. Not even close. It's not even close, okay? But officially, he lost that fight to Estrada. I was there, and I thought Chocolatito edged it, but officially, he lost that fight. Officially, Charlo got a draw with Castaño. I thought he came up short, but he got the draw. And then he left no doubt in the rematch. So if you look at recent fights between Chocolatito and Charlo, and you look at the official results, again, I'm not saying I agree with the official results. I don't agree with the official results of my fight a week ago, okay? But the official results are the official results. You can't go back in time and redo it, right? So that is how I think ultimately the decision was made. Now, let me add this. Estrada is busy. He's going to end up fighting Franco. He should. Assuming he comes away with that win, and assuming by the end of the year we get the third fight between Estrada and Chocolatito, obviously that creates an opportunity for Estrada to stay on our list, and it creates an opportunity for Chocolatito to get back on the list. Now, let's just say they have another all-time great classic fight, and Chocolatito edges at 115, 113. You can make a case at that point that maybe Estrada, you move down, but you bring Chocolatito back on. And then the question will be, who do you remove, right? And we will make that judgment call at that time appropriately. As I mentioned on my show Monday, there are 4 fighters on this list right now. I believe it's 4. Yeah, 4 that have not had a fight yet this year. We're almost halfway through the damn year. But I broke it all down. And I said, look, Estrada's got one coming up. So does Usyk. Crawford should. Lomachenko's the one who doesn't. And that's why I suggested, hey, let's keep Chocolatito on, my original suggestion. Let's bump Loma with the reasoning that we're not dropping him because we don't think he's one of the best fighters in the world, but we're dropping him because he doesn't plan to fight this year, and him and his team have made that pretty clear. So we're removing him for now and bring in Charlo, keeping Chocolatito on as well. That's the way I would have done it, right? But that was overruled, and it's a democratic process. So you have to make the best decision with what you have. And I hopefully explained the Chocolatito Charlo thing well enough to where it makes sense. Let's see. So look, Joseph here in the chat says, inactivity should not be a factor. Boxing quality is the key. Joseph, look, I agree, but also I disagree. I agree with you that boxing quality is the key. And I think Lomachenko's opposition is stellar when you look at the fact that he's a featherweight fighting in the lightweight division. It baffles me that so many people hate on the guy for no real reason. But inactivity is a factor. When it comes to ratings and you have to make a judgment call like I just explained, I do think inactivity matters. And I think in this case, bumping Lomachenko out, again, this was just a suggestion I made. Bumping him out for inactivity and bringing in Charlo, who's coming right off an undisputed championship win, I think you could justify that. I do. It doesn't mean that I think Charlo's done an overall better body of work than Lomachenko. That's absurd. He hasn't, right? But it's what have you done for me lately combined with the overall record, right? That if you have an ongoing ratings that you update weekly, a big factor is what have you done for me lately? So that's why I made that decision. Also, though, this has come up too. A lot of people don't think we should have Bivol in the top 10. A lot of people think Bivol beating Canelo doesn't rate top 10. I disagree with that, and here's why. I get it that Bivol is a natural light heavyweight. He's actually more of a natural super middleweight, by the way. I get it. Regardless, he's the bigger guy. He's bigger than Canelo, right? But we've seen plenty of bigger guys fight Canelo, and Canelo smoked him. Canelo beat Chavez, Smith, Rocky Fielding. Do I have to go down the damn list? Caleb Plant. Danny Jacobs is pretty much the same size as Dimitri Bivol. Don't believe me? Look at their numbers. Pretty much the same height and reach. Danny Jacobs, Dimitri Bivol. And Canelo beat all those guys. But now that he loses to a guy, everyone's, oh, the size was too much. Oh. Really? If he would have beat Bivol, what would y'all be saying? I think that people are not giving Bivol enough credit. You know what I want to say, right? I won't go down the political rant. I'll just say a bad word. Russia. Russian. I know this video is going to be like demonetized now. I think that's a factor. I'm just putting it out there. I think that's a factor. I think that's at least playing a factor in the way some people are dismissing Dimitri Bivol's accomplishment. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it has nothing to do with that. All right. Let's jump to the phones, man. Let's get to this first call here. 336, you were on the show. What's up?
Yo, I'm number one.
I thought that was BLT. I thought that was BLT. What's up, man?
Yo, you talking about your mother? My father retired from New York, went to Florida. 1 year she was fine. Next year I told her she got lupus and got a table full of garbage. And I'm like, what's going on here?
Man.
You know?
Okay, so your dad got lupus. How is your dad doing?
No, my mother.
Oh, your mother got okay. How's she doing?
Yeah. She's deceased.
Oh, Jesus. I'm so sorry, BLT. I'm so sorry, man. Dude, it's a horrible disease because there's nothing you could fucking do, right? I've learned a lot about it, man. I've learned a lot about it. It's terrible.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, well, you was fine in New York. You should have stayed there. Because if you go down, how'd you get it? I mean, what is that? Anyway, yo, it's just crazy. And I'm wishing your mother a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
But it's a beast. It's a beast. It's a hard beast to kill. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, man. It's
and she's in North Carolina. You know I'm in North Carolina, right?
I know, man. I thought about you. She's in Charlotte.
Yeah.
How far are you from Charlotte?
Yeah. That's about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you just hit a nerve there, so but I didn't even think of anyway. Yeah, oh well, whatever. Happy for
Yeah, right. Yeah.
hey, it's New York thing. So you just gonna go up there and get tickets? You gonna like try to organize something or what?
We a friend of ours is taking care of the tickets. We do a lot of business for him, so he's taking care of us. But we're just gonna be up there, I think, Friday, Saturday, and I think we're coming back Sunday. So we're basically just gonna be there for the fight. Yeah, it's gonna be in and out.
Yeah.
But we're staying in the city. We're staying in the city where we're staying Midtown.
Yeah, because I worked in Midtown. I used to go by the garden every day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna try to catch up to you, but like I said, I just went to New York and spent up a whole lot of money on my daughter. So, but I'm gonna definitely make 110% try to get up there too.
Okay.
And the wife protecting.
Just let me know, man. Let me know.
Yeah. I'll pop you some emails, whatever, and
Okay.
we see. I'm gonna try to get some tickets, I suppose, then, because I'd like to see that fight. I've only been to one live fight, so.
Oh shit, yo!
Like
if you need tickets, man, and you can get up there, let me know, because I'll hook you up with my friend Jim Boone. He's the best in the business. He'll take care of you. You tell him I sent you, he'll hook you up. So just let me know. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right, man. I really don't have anything else to talk about, really and truly. So just let the experts, someone or whoever wants to.
All right, man. Have a great weekend, brother. Stay cool, man. It's hot out here right now, so stay cool.
Yeah, it's nice and hot, man.
Yeah.
Watch the food out there, bro. Take care, man.
All right, man. You too. Yeah, man. It's like I think it's in the 90s all weekend. And I think it's this whole area of the country because, like I said, I was just up there in North Carolina, yesterday. Drove back down here to Atlanta last night. It's only a 4-hour drive from where I was going back and forth. But it was like 90 something yesterday, and it was the same shit today. I'm like, man, this is going to be a hot summer. Last year there was a lot of what the hell do they call it? Tropical depressions or whatever the hell it is, and that kept things cool. There was a lot of like rain and stuff. I didn't mind that shit. I don't care if it's gray outside and there's no sun. I don't give a shit because it was cool out. But so far this year, I don't know, man. It's got a feeling like it's just going to be hot as shit the entire summer. Boxing Global with the super chat. Thank you so much. He says, "What's up, Mike? Prayers for your mom." Congratulations to you and Tiffany. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Life sucks sometimes, huh? All right, back to the phones. 631. What's up?
What up, Mike? It's Keith with Boxing Global.
Keith, what's up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate, brother.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, again, my condolences. Just real quick in regards to that, one of my businesses, my partner, she has lupus and fibromyalgia, and she uses CBD a lot. It helps her a lot. So if you're ever, if you're ever interested, you can always message me as well too.
Maybe I should talk to my mom about that because you're saying I don't think my mom is. I don't know if she has fibromyalgia, but she is in pain a lot. She has a lot of pain. She's on a bunch of pain meds and shit. Huh?
Yeah. You said she has. I'm sorry. You said she has lupus.
Yeah, she's had it. She's had it. I think pretty much her whole life, and she's done very, very good with it. But lately, it's really started kicking her ass. It's just like really, I guess, got inflamed recently. There's really no reason why. It just happens, I guess it was dormant for a long time.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Stress. Yeah. I mean, we can always message. I can talk more about it. But
okay.
I wanted to just kind of go over a few points. I tried calling last week. I know you were super busy with calls. I want to give my reaction to Canelo Bivol. I was actually a little surprised. Not at the same time, though. I was wrong. I predicted Canelo to kind of keep it close, and they were just going to rip off Bivol, or even Canelo actually just kind of adapting. But he didn't really employ a good game plan. He just, as everyone saw, he just tried to overpower Bivol, and that wasn't the case. One of my friends who I was watching the fight with, I don't know what he was watching, but he thinks that Canelo won. I don't know how, or it should have been a draw. And he literally says that Bivol was just running jabs, where if you look at the punch shaft, he outlet in every category.
Yep.
But either way, I mean, it was a great win for Bivol. Props to Jack Alter for calling that out again. It was a good call. And yeah, I like Bivol fighting Zurdo. I much rather Bivol fight the winner of the Joe Smith but better be a fight, just because it's that's because that they will be the undisputed champion, and he's already beaten Joe Smith, so I'd like to see him fight better be. I'm looking at plane tickets to go that fight. I'm gonna try and go, but it's just really expensive to fly out from here to California. But that's the fight I prefer to see. And I was at actually the Charlo Castano fight last week at StubHub or Dignum Sports Health Park. It was actually really good. The environment.
Cool.
What I would say is, like, we just kind of talked about like this earlier as far as people being biased. the really cool thing was you had people like black, white, Asian, Latino, everyone in the crowd. Most people were cheering for for Charlo. To be honest with you, which is really cool to see. Like there was Mexican people next to me saying, "Come on, Charlo, throw the jab, throw the jab." It was actually really, really cool and refreshing to see because boxing has become so, I guess, tribal, separated, tribalistic, and everyone is biased. So to see that, especially from different groups, it was really cool to see. I was rooting for Castaño. I like Castaño, but I mean, after Charlo won that, I definitely appreciate Charlo and respect, what he's done. He just it's cool too because kind of talking about like this whole bias, like a lot of that comes from one promotional company and they kind of target that one, specific group of people. And Charlo has called out other fighters on that same bullshit, which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, which is really cool. I mean, like he's brash and whatnot, but I mean, on opposite of his brother, he backed his shit up. I'll say that. And ironically, that day, I had a concussion from earlier in the day. I went to a boxing fight, which is actually really, really ironic, but
shit,
made
man.
that very fun. Yeah,
you're doing it backwards.
It wasn't a good. Yeah, exactly. And then just in regards to this weekend, this fight tomorrow night, I think that unless David Benavidez falls asleep and really has a lapse in defense, he should win. He should win pretty easily. Lemieux is kind of one, he's kind of past his best, and two, that's 168 isn't his weight. I haven't seen him fight at 168 that much or at all, I don't think, but I don't know how effective his power is going to be at 168. He'll probably have some pop, but I have no idea. We'll see. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, I tend to agree, man. I think Lemieux is a heavy-handed guy, strong, still has a good left hook, but unless he can land something clean early, when Benavidez is cold, I don't see how he wins this fight. I mean, PBC doesn't match their guys. If you look at David Benavidez's entire career, they've only matched him in fights where they thought he was going to win. They obviously feel very strongly he's going to win this fight. So.
Yeah, and actually, you made a good point. That's the point I want to make too. So if we look at the undisputed runs of, like, for example, obviously Canelo, Josh Taylor, Terrence Crawford, they did theirs pretty quickly in their respective weight classes. It's taken Charlo 5 years since he's won his first title. I'm just guessing, but
yeah,
and he had 154 pounds isn't a weak division. Like 168 was a weak division. But 154 pounds is a weak division, so it took him a while. And I think that's just the matchmaking, and that's just obviously more the mentality with PBC, with their brain trust.
I completely agree. If Charlo had completely unified this division 2 years ago, he'd probably already be at 160 because that's where he's going next. The other Charlo is going to go to 168. It just, they take so long to get to it over there. Spence, how long did it take him to get 3 belts? PBC's owned those 3 belts. It took them a long time. There's just a track record there that's undeniable. And if you call it out, it's not hating, it's just noting what's going on. That's all it is.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, it is. And I don't see anyone at 154 pounds really, beating Charlo. I see them challenging him, giving him a tough fight, but I actually met Tim Tszyu. Looking at his last fight, I think he's going to get caught with the right hand down the center. He's actually not that big of a guy. He's shorter than me. I'm 5'10". He was probably 5'8". And then Sebastian Montero he's going to make it interesting in the beginning, but he's going to get probably stopped. He's just going to get hit so much. So that's just my assumption.
I think Fundora and Tszyu just both need a lot more seasoning, and they should. I love that they want to step up and fight for the championship. I love that, especially from Tszyu, because he could just stay in Australia and make a shitload of money where he's already a star. So I love the desire, but they just both need to improve on so many things. I just don't think they're ready for it. But what the hell? Throw them in there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. other thing I just remember, Andre Ward just recently called out the sanctioning bodies. He basically said, what are they there for? I don't know if you saw, but he's like, the only belt that should be recognized, or that he recognizes, is the ring belt. Basically, the sanctioning body just collects, fees, and they don't really do much for the fighters. What are your thoughts on that?
There's some truth to that, but there are situations like, let's take Dimitri Bivol. He would have never got that fight against Canelo if he didn't have a belt. Would have never happened. So in that case, him dealing with the WBA's absolute insanity for the last few years paid off. And there's so many fighters I can point to where having that belt is what gave them the leverage to get ahead, or going through the mandatory system got them an opportunity. So the sanctioning organizations do some good things, especially the WBC, which I talk about, their weight management program, the drug testing program. They're not perfect, but it's more than anyone else is doing. So I generally regard the ring champion as the real champion because our process is different. We don't charge fighters sanctioning fees, and we recognize who the best fighter in the division is. The other sanctioning organizations don't do that, but they do some good shit.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Mike. Well, thanks for taking my call. Again, best podcast, and congratulations to you and Tiffany, and I'll keep your mom in my prayers.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it, bro.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
All right. All right, there he goes. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. I don't think so. Okay, we could keep this thing going. Oh, I should mention, by the way, I haven't even really talked about this weekend's fights. Real quick, guys. Janibek, Alimkhanuly versus Danny Dignum. That's the fight. Again, I'll be covering that for ringtv.com for those of you just joining on. And that is for a WBO interim middleweight belt. I think that might end up becoming the real full WBO middleweight championship down the line, because I think Andre's really not going to be very keen on fighting the winner of that fight. Also on that card, Jamel Herring making his ring return, and several other top-ranked prospects. And then, so that's on ESPN because it's Top Rank, obviously. But also in Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, I should mention that's in Las Vegas too. In Phoenix, Arizona, PBC Showtime, David Benavidez versus David Lemieux. I think that's a showcase type of fight for Benavidez. Lemieux is going to come in there and give the crowd what it wants to see. He's going to come right to Benavidez and give him opportunities to knock him out. The crowd's going to love that. Lemieux is being brought there to bleed for money. That's what that fight is, in my opinion. And then in London on DAZN, Matchroom on DAZN, Joshua Buatsi, one of the top prospects in boxing. You can even call him a contender now, going up against Craig Richards. That's 10 rounds light heavyweights. And then female championship fight, Chantel Cameron versus Victoria Noelia Bustos. And that's for Cameron's unified 140-pound women's titles. Okay, so that's what's up tomorrow. So you guys got some action on all the platforms. Nothing super, super great, but a couple of interesting matchups. For me, I think ESPN is the best card of the bunch. But, I expect a good crowd, of course, in London for that card. And then I expect a good crowd in Phoenix for the Benavidez fight. They're going to show out for him. So you're going to have some fun atmospheres. I'm pretty much all these shows. Super chat from Trent Nonpareil. Thank you very much, Trent. He says, Sergey Vorobiev has a cool YouTube channel. He is my new favorite prospect at 154. And there's several of these guys at 154, Trent. Troy Isley moving quick with TR. Isley beat Madrimov in the amateur semi. Interesting. Guys, Trent knows his prospects, especially on the international scene, and he knows his amateur stuff. He is an awesome resource for info in those worlds. He really knows his stuff when it comes to these guys coming up in the amateur system, particularly on the international scene. All right, back to the phones we go. And we are going to 213. You're on the show. What's up?
Hey, Mike. Best wishes for your situation that you're in.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
I wanted to talk to you about the pound for pound. Do you guys think that you guys dropped Canelo a little bit too low?
You're not the only one to bring that up. Here, I'm going to pull up the pound for pound ratings again. Yeah. There was a lot of debate about where to put Canelo. And you're definitely not the only one who has said, hey man, maybe you guys punished him a little too much. I thought we should have had him around 4 or 5. I still think he's in the top 5. I was overruled on that.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can have Spence and even Estrada above Canelo right now, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. For the Chocolatito one, didn't he just fight the champion at a weight division down coming up, fight him, and that guy coming in overweight?
Yeah.
Because that was his last fight, right?
Yeah, in his last fight, he fought Julio Cesar Martinez, who was coming up in weight, but was a highly ranked flyweight. And Chocolatito beat him pretty heavily.
And he was overweight, like really overweight for that match, right?
Yeah. Martinez, look, I'm going to say allegedly, I'm going to use quotes, but allegedly has been using unnatural means to make weight at 112 for years, and it's really cost him. And that that's part of the reason why he didn't make weight for his fight with Chocolatito. Again, I'm going to say allegedly, okay, just for legal purposes, but you can read into that whatever you will.
Right. So, I mean, you guys got to find a way to get him in. I mean, he fought a guy above his weight. I mean, if that's not pound for pound, I don't know what is, you know?
That's a great point. Listen, I'll bring that up, during our next discussion, because I totally overlooked that, but you are absolutely right that he fought a guy that was a lot younger, a lot bigger, and beat him pretty handily. I mean, I want to say that was like a 9 rounds to 3 kind of fight,
It was a schooling. That's all I remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a technical schooling. The other one is, how do you feel about Crawford saying if he beats Spence, he's going after Charlo next?
Who said this? Crawford?
Yeah.
Well, I love it.
On the podcast. So,
I love it. Look, if PBC offered Crawford a 2-fight deal and they said, you get Spence, and if you beat him, you get Charlo next, I think Crawford would sign the dotted line for that. And how amazing would that be?
Oh, yeah. I'm drooling for that one right now.
Yeah.
Undisputed.
I'm throbbing for that one. My pants are rising just thinking about it. That would be awesome, bro. That would be awesome.
And the last one is, this is the weirdest one. David Benavidez versus Morrell. He's calling that possible. His team is actually saying it's possible.
Well, they're both PBC guys, right? So why not?
Yeah, well, Morrell's he has, 5 fights right now? And he has a huge amateur career, but is he ready, do you think?
I think he's as ready as he's going to be. I think he's got one of the 5,000 WBA belts by now, doesn't he? I want to say.
He has the regular belt. I mean, I don't know what to make of that. I hate the.
Well,
I hate things, the alphabet organization.
The PBC loves marketing the Reggie belts, as we call them, the regular belts. We call them the Reggie belts. Tank Davis has had like 14 of them already, and they rate him as like a 8 division champion with all those belts. So look, if Morrell is willing and they could do it, he's got a fight coming up next month, but I think he's going back to Minneapolis.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. Because I think I want to say he's based out of Minneapolis now, which is interesting. A Cuban guy moving to. It couldn't be any more freaking cold in Minneapolis. It is the complete antithesis of Cuba. So I don't quite understand that, but I think that's where he's based out of now. And I've had him fight there a few times. So if he defends his Reggie belt and Benavidez, they want to do that fight. I'd watch it. I think that'd be an interesting fight. It would be probably a step up for Benavidez, as crazy as that sounds. It might be.
So you actually consider them better fights than Zoo and Pandora?
What, at 54?
Oh no, that's something else. I was thinking about the Charlo situation. Sorry.
Okay. I was gonna say,
yeah.
You know what? I want to see Fundora and Zoo fight. Like, let's have them fight. Like I want to see those young guys fight each other before they go up to the main man. But at 68, with Benavidez, the WBC is trying to line it up where they force a fight between him and Canelo, which I'd love to see. I think that'd be awesome. If we end up getting that, I'd much rather see that than Benavidez fight Morrell, of course.
His team, from what I heard, are calling out 3 fighters: Charlo, Plant, and Morrell. These are the 3 guys that they're looking at for the next possible fight, from what I've heard.
Well, I'd rather see him fight Plant or Charlo. I think I'd like to see Benavidez Charlo first, then second on that list would be Benavidez Plant, and third would be Benavidez Morrell, which means we'll probably get Benavidez Morrell. So we'll see.
I'm kind of hoping to Charlo waits to see what happens with the Crawford fight before he moves anymore. Because if he does beat Mel, and I don't know what the next step for Crawford would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of like hurry up and wait right now. And there's a lot of people waiting to see what other dudes are doing before they make their move. And I just wish these motherfuckers would be their own man and just make a damn decision. Just make a decision, That's where I'm at.
So what I want to see is Charlo and Golovkin right now. I mean, come on, just get it done. But I can't see that happening. I'm sorry.
Not until we see Golovkin Munguia, because that makes more money. It just makes more money internationally. That's why that's going to happen first, unless Munguia doesn't want it.
I just think that the DAZN versus PBC trying to get that card worked out might be a little bit more problematic.
Well, yeah, but remember, Munguia is a DAZN guy. Golovkin's a DAZN guy. That's why I think we see that. But you're right, with Charlo being a PBC guy, I just look for them to get Golovkin off of DAZN. They're going to have to pay a substantial amount of money, put that fight on pay-per-view. It just doesn't make sense. I just don't see it.
Thank you for the call and best wishes again.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one.
All right,
you too now.
All right, there he goes. And what did I wanted to hit on something. I was just thinking, I forgot. You know what? I think, is this Chad? Let me get this call right here. We're going to Canada. Canada is my uncle calls it. You were on the show. What's up?
Yes, I got through.
He got through.
I feel good. Yeah, it's been a while, Mike.
It has been a while. I know you've called a few times, but you always get on too late and just don't make it.
Well, I want to say that to all the American and UK callers, you guys are so lucky you have the toll free. It totally, and I know most of you guys, like as soon as the show starts, you guys call and you're just listening through the phone or whatever, but I don't blame you because I would do the same thing. But it totally kind of changes the dynamic for me to call, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy I got through today, man.
Thank you. You know what? You bring up a good point, man. I need to, you know what? You bring up a really, really great point. For those of you calling, if you're not UK or not USA, let me know in the chat because I'll jump to you first because you guys are paying. So, man, I never thought about it like that, dude. But thank you.
You know what I was thinking about? No problem, man. And the phones are popping, and I love it, right? Like, I like listening to everyone calling in, and it's a good thing. The show is healthy,
Yeah.
But I was thinking too, like, have you ever thought about using, like, a lot of these different channels use StreamYard to have, like, a panel? I'm sure you're familiar with it. Have you ever given any thought to that, like changing the format a little bit and using StreamYard as a means for like a panel? I mean, you wouldn't probably be able to have as many people on, but maybe, I don't know. Could be an idea.
I have StreamYard is the app that the video app that I'm using, and I have a different system for the phones, and I do it that way so that I can have my own phone number and I can control things a little more. I just have a few more options that way than StreamYard allows, but I can conference people in through video with StreamYard. And, maybe I should start doing more of that kind of stuff on my channel, my personal channel. But you're right. I could only do 3 or 4 people at a time, because if I had more than that, it just gets to be too busy, but maybe I'll start doing that.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel like you're really nice to the callers, Mike. Like you let people go on and on even when you don't want to. Like I've listened to some shows like long format radio, especially, and like they just like hang up on people basically. Like they do it politely. Like the person's done talking, and then they just disconnect them and move on. Right. I mean, maybe you'll have to employ something a little more insistent to get people moving through it if you were to use that,
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
Yeah. But look, man, I just wanted to take a sec and say big congrats on the pregnancy, man.
Thank you.
I know, like, listening to the show, I know family is like, I know that's something important to you, man. So I know how happy you guys must be. And yeah, just like big congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you are. And my advice, Mike, like I got 3 kids, right? So my advice is don't just focus on this milestone, October, having the baby. Don't get too when I had my first one, man, I was like buying books on like how to have your kid a genius by kindergarten. And I was so worried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was looking forward to so much stuff. And, you realize after you go through it, you calm down quite a bit and you realize it's not not everything is so urgent, I guess, Anyway, easier said than done, I guess.
Yeah.
But, look, man, as far as boxing goes, I kind of wanted to just chime in about Munguia. You've been busy this week. Like, did you see that Munguia has a fight scheduled?
I heard something, yeah, and I don't even know who the hell is the opponent. I gotta look it up.
Okay, so I've never watched him, but it's Jimmy Kelly. He's a UK fighter. I've not seen him fight, but I think WBO's got him ranked number 8. And and then actually before I complain about Munguia, I wanted to ask you, I'm going to be watching the Alimkhanuly tomorrow too, and I've not watched Dignum fight. What can you tell me about Dignum? Like, have you watched him fight at all? He's another UK guy.
No, I know he's got an undefeated record, but it looks suspect.
Right. Yeah. And I see that I'm pretty sure it was Dignum is southpaw and I think 6 foot. No, I'm confusing the two. That might be Kelly. Yeah, I think it's Kelly. That's southpaw and 6 foot tall, Munguia's opponent, which I thought was interesting. I mean, that's at least something to kind of shake up Munguia a little, I guess.
Yeah.
But man, I'm so done with Munguia, Mike. Like the whole thing that went down, I think it was around January, where he was ranked number 1 by WBO, so they wanted to have him and Andrade fight, but Andrade, was going to make the move to 168. So it was supposed to be Munguia Alimkhanuly next, but WBO didn't order the fight. And
well,
it just seemed suspect to me. Am I wrong about that?
Well, they wanted to.
The situation seemed suspect at the time to me.
As I understand it, Munguia's team basically said, we don't want it. That's the way I understand it.
In that scenario, though, Mike, like, shouldn't the sanctioning body just order the fight? I mean, it's their number 1 and number 2 guys. Like, shouldn't they just order the fight and then have the team? Like, to me, it just seems like WBO allowed Munguia's team to not have to declare publicly that they didn't want it. Like, to me, it was a duck. I mean, everyone's talking about ducking. Like, to me, that was a duck.
No, it was it was.
And then a lot of people, right. And a lot of people were supporting Munguia. Like, fans were saying things like, Alimkhanuly, who's that? Like, who? Or saying, well, there's no money in that fight. things like that. But now, look where we are now. Oh, yeah, the other thing was, the Triple G situation, which I understand. It's prize fighting. Triple G's where the money's at. But look where we are now. We're a few months later. He's no closer to a Triple G fight. And here he is now, keeping busy with some guy we've never heard of. Like, I guess my point is, we're waiting for Munguia to do something great. And we keep waiting, and we keep waiting. And Alimkhanuly, to me, that was the moment. I mean, that could have been something. I think that would have been a great fight. I really do. And even if Munguia was to have lost, I think it would have been a real mark in his career. But we didn't get it. And here we keep going. So I'm just curious your opinion, Mike. And, do you think it's Oscar that's the main problem in Munguia's career?
It's not Munguia.
I've just kind of had it with Munguia.
It's not him. It's his management. So you know what? Michael Mendiola, a friend of mine, works with Munguia's team, or he has, and he's on the chat. And he was just saying, hey, fellas, not to beat my chest, but I know Jaime personally. He thought he was getting Jacobs or Mosley Jr. He was ready for either. None of those guys accepted the fight. Jaime will fight anybody. Beltran and De La Hoya collectively are trying to get the Triple G fight or Charlo. I don't think they want the Charlo fight. I think they both want the Triple G fight. And, there's certain things I know that I just can't say on the record right here. But if you guys just read between the lines of what I'm saying, I would bet very, very heavily that by the end of this year, we see that fight between Golovkin and Munguia, because the demographics of it make a lot of sense. And both sides want it. It'll do numbers internationally. It'll do numbers if they put it in Vegas or LA. It'll do numbers. And so that's where they're going. So with the WBO, to go back to your point, Chad, the WBO, they can't force anyone to fight, right? So they had, I think, Munguia 2, Alimkhanuly Munguia 1 and Alimkhanuly at 2, and they wanted the two of them to fight for interim. But if Munguia's side basically pulls out, what can they do? So they're taking Alimkhanuly and having him fight maybe the next available guy, which is Dignum, for the interim, because Munguia didn't want that. Munguia's going for the money against Golovkin. That's pretty much what him and his team are doing. So that's the kind of out of the sanctioning organization's hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I understand it. It's just, I guess I just don't like the fact that, I mean, it's practical to, I mean, yeah, if you know they're not going to take the fight, I get it. Like, why go through, why bother? But on another note, I feel like it really lets that team slither out of having to kind of tell the fans and tell the public, like, okay, here's why we can't take that fight or whatever, because to me, like that just looked like a really big duck to me by Munguia's
It's up to the media.
And
it's up to the media to say some shit, but a lot of these guys in media are afraid to. Look, when I lived in LA, everybody was gung-ho about Jaime Munguia. There was a lot of people in the LA media that had Jaime Munguia fever and were singing his praises. And I remember looking, and I was one of the few guys in the scene out there that were saying, I see major holes in this kid's game. I think y'all need to slow the hell down. He needs development. He needs to work on his defense. And I took shit for it. People, especially, the Mexican-American fan base out there and everything else, people don't want to tell the truth. They don't want to lose access. They don't want to hold anyone's feet to the fire.
For sure. The media, it's a shame that it's got to be like that. But, I mean, it's just funny how some fighters get, like, run over right through the coals for this stuff, know? And they're getting called a duck for, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, they're getting called a duck when it's not even a duck, And then you got guys that are like legit ducking, and there's no talk, no discussion at all. I feel like Munguia gets a pass from a lot of guys.
Yep. I tweeted that this week.
When you really look at the last few years, what's that, Mike?
I tweeted that this week. I said, man, Munguia just gets a pass. Look, man, guys look, I'm not saying Demetrius Andrade is a victim, because he's not. But he's flat out, he has avoided fighters. He found a way out of a Charlo fight. He does not want any part of Janibek, Alimkhanuly. And there are people, trashing him on Twitter, which I get, but those same people won't talk about Munguia doing this shit. And my thing is, just be fair. Right. Be fair. Look, Josh Taylor doesn't seem very interested in fighting a Catterall rematch, right? He just got stripped of the BA.
Yeah.
He wants to fight Zepeda. I think Zepeda is a better fighter than Catterall, but Catterall's a tough style for Taylor. So that doesn't look very good. And there's some people not talking about that. Tyson Fury doesn't seem too interested in fighting Usyk. And he mentioned before that smaller southpaws like Cunningham gave him his toughest fights. People don't want to talk about that. You know, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan, you just got to be able to kind of look through between the lines, I guess, you know,
right.
And have that. That's what, like earlier you were talking about people just getting like angry and outraged about everything or being like really biased. And I feel it's this type of stuff that most people get up on, you know, and get really swung one way or the other. And a lot of the time it's not even justified, but, anyways, Mike, that's kind of my, complaint for the day, I guess, my rant for the week. And other than that, man, I'll let you go and take another call. And I'll be talking to you and seeing you around. But again, you and Tiff, big congrats, man. And you know, you can bend my ear anytime you want to know how to put a diaper on or whatever. Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Later.
All right. Bye. All right. I see Kento on the chat says that he's calling from Barbados. All right. Yeah, there's an anonymous number here. I'm thinking this might be you, brother. So I'm going to skip ahead a few of you guys who have been waiting so I could get Kento because he's paying for this. He's not toll free. So I think this is him. Let me click on this. Kento, is this you?
It is me, Mike. Good evening. How are you doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
First, I'm doing great. First and foremost, many congratulations to Tiffany and you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the great news in October. And also, my heartfelt, you have my full support as you support your mother. Always cherish her no matter what. I'm an orphan now, so the memories of my parents live long, but when we have them around, we have to do our very best to love and cherish them every day. And wish you all the best, and you have my support always.
Thank you so much.
My question, I know I sent you a tweet. You know, I sent you a very, very innocent tweet, you know, I've seen quite a lot of boxers, you know, I'm older than you, but I look young. And I've seen quite a lot of boxers and, you know, Shakur Stevenson looked very, very comfortable and very clinical against, what was the name of that gentleman now that he fought recently?
Oscar
Valdez, right?
Yeah, Valdez, yeah.
Yes. And I was wondering, you know, I sent you a tweet and I was a question when I saw your Ring Magazine top 10, I was wondering, why didn't the committee include him in the top 10? And if he isn't worthy of the top 10, how close is he? And what does he need to do to get onto the top 10? I thank you for skipping over calls to take my call. And I wouldn't want to take too much of your time and hold up other calls. So I'll just listen to your response via the YouTube. Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kento. And that's a great, great question. So I'll drop you here so you could save some money. I appreciate you calling in, man. And I apologize if you sent me a DM asking this and I just didn't answer. I'm sorry, man. It's been a whirlwind recently, and I get hundreds of messages a week, so it's just hard to get to all of them. But it's a great question about Shakur Stevenson. So I'm going to share my screen once again. Because I want to show you guys our divisional ratings at 130. Let me make sure I got this pulled up. Okay, I got this pulled up right here. So you can see, of course, that Shakur is our champion, right? And he's got the ring belt, the WBC, and now the BO. He had the BO when he beat Valdez. He took the BC, and we rated Stevenson number 1 at the time. Valdez was on suspension. But coming off suspension, we rated him number 2. So number 1 versus number 2, boom, Ring Magazine belt. So we sanction this for the Ring Championship. What I would say, he's on the bubble for pound. It was discussed, but we want to see him do a little bit more work. If I pull up his resume, because I want to make sure I get this right. So hang on one second, guys, while I pull up Shakur's resume. I just want to make sure I don't misquote something. I want to be really careful. Yeah, I want to see. So when he was at 126, Shakur, he fought for a vacant belt. And of course, it was the WBO because he's a top ranked fighter. We're Bob's organization, right? Bob Arum owns the WBO. So he fought Joet Gonzalez for the vacant belt. He won that title, but maybe make sure I got this right. I think he lost it in his. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He won the vacant belt. He moved up in weight after that. He never defended, right? So he won a belt at 26, but it was a vacant belt, didn't defend it. Then he moves up to 130, which is understandable because he's a big kid, right? He's going to end up, he might be a welterweight one day, seriously, before he retires. He might do a welterweight fight. He's going to keep moving up in weight. But 126, yeah, you win a vacant belt, but then you move right up. So no title defenses at 26. Then he comes to 30. He wins his 130 belt against Nakathila, right? And now he's got 2 defenses of that belt. I'm sorry. He won the belt. He won an interim belt against Nakathila. It was against Herring where he won the full belt, the WBO, and now he's got 1 defense. So 2 titles in 2 weight classes, 1 defense. And then, of course, he has the BC and everything. So he just needs to do a little bit more work. He's on his way. And in terms of talent, young talent, he's certainly up there. I should mention that Joet Gonzalez, who Stevenson beat for the vacant belt at 126, he also lost at 126 against Emmanuel Navarrete. Maybe was a little more competitive, but he lost pretty clearly to Navarrete. So Joet Gonzalez kind of showed his level, right? So it's not as if he went in there and had a really close fight with Navarrete or something. So that's a good win for Stevenson, but I wouldn't call it an elite level win. The win against Herring, good win, but Herring, much older fighter, right? Had a lot of tread on the tires. And so Stevenson was supposed to win. Outstanding win. Dominant, great, but I wouldn't call it an elite win. Valdez is his best win, okay? But even if we look at Valdez and his career, his recent wins off of Burchelt and stuff haven't necessarily aged great. So I think Stevenson is right there, like on the bubble, but I want to see a little more pound for pound type of fighting, meaning now that he's got, he could stay and try to get the other belts at 130 and go for undisputed, but I kind of want to see him go up to 35. I want to see him against those other young guns. 135 is way more loaded, right? Pulling up our 135 ratings. Of course, you guys see all the names. This is a much more loaded division. I'd love to see Stevenson move up in weight, fight one of these guys. Then you've got more of that pound for pound type of credentials, and then maybe we could put you on there. But who would you bump off right now on the pound for pound list to put Stevenson in? I just don't think he's quite on par with these other fighters on this list yet. But I would say he's in the top 15, man. He's definitely in the top 15. He just needs to move up and maybe do some work at 135, and then he'll be there. Okay. So great question from Kento, and I appreciate the call, and I appreciate the sentiments. We might take 1 or 2 more guys, and then we're going to go. All right. I don't want to go too much longer. I know there's a ton of you on hold, but let me jump here to Nacho. I know he's going to have a bunch of good stuff for us. What's up, Nacho?
Hey, Mike, what's going on? I just kind of wanted to comment just on the fights this weekend, and then I kind of wanted to comment on what Chad said about Munguia. I'll start off with that quickly. Munguia, I've followed the kid ever since I saw him on as a young 17, 18-year-old prospect here in California. That would show some of the Mexican fight cards on Spanish TV. And so I got to see him from pretty much when he was first coming up. And the kid was always raw, and I could see he had talent. But I was also like you, Mike. I always felt like he was going to need work if he was ever going to get to be a really good fighter at some point. And I understand the fact that they've kind of taken their time developing him and kind of, got him, different trainers to work with in order to add more tools to his toolbox. But I think at this point, Mike, after having watched the kid for the last 6-7 years, I'd say, probably 7 more like it. I think it's time. I think this idea that they keep waiting and waiting for a Golovkin fight is just ridiculous to me. I mean, you'll get paid and you'll get some recognition if he does end up beating Gennady, but at the same time, they're missing out on other fights that could have been made in the meantime.
Yeah.
I just think this idea of waiting to quote unquote cash him out in a sense is like the dumbest thing ever. I don't get it. I just feel like the kid has been kind of stifled by his own management, and whether that's Zanfer or whether that's Golden Boy, I'm not sure, but they're the ones putting up the roadblocks, and I think they're hurting the kid more right now than they are helping him. And until they realize that, things aren't going to change. And I'm not a fan of that fight that he has coming up. Jimmy Kelly, it's like, really? Like, that's the opponent? Like,
Right.
I mean, I could live with Danny Jacobs, but Jimmy Kelly, like, no, that's just insulting. And then as far as this weekend's fights, Janibek, he should be this Dignum guy. I'm not sold on the record that he has. I've looked at his record. He really has no legit wins to speak of. And this is kind of a showcase for Janibek, I think, to kind of just get a belt and kind of put his name out there and put his name in the mix at 160. So he should win that fight. I can't see him having any issues with his opponent this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Benavidez and Lemieux. I just don't think, having watched Lemieux like the last year and a half or so after he moved up to 68, he just doesn't look like the same guy, Mike. I think you're right. I think the only way he has a chance of winning that fight is if he legit goes after Benavidez in the first few rounds, hurts him, and then is able to just kind of, put it on him to be able to get the stoppage. But I don't see that. He was picked for a reason.
Yep.
He's a guy with a name. He's a guy who's kind of slightly on the way down. And so they picked him for that reason. And I think Benavidez should win that fight. And then the other one, the DAZN card. I like Buatsi. I think he's a good, up and coming prospect / contender. Richards is just kind of known as the guy who gave Bivol trouble. But if you really look at that fight, Bivol still handled him relatively easily.
Mm-hmm.
But some people are just giving Richards a lot of credit for that performance. It's kind of interesting how he's getting a whole lot of credit for that performance, even though he ended up taking the loss. But I think if Buatsi is who he is, I think he definitely should win that fight. I mean, I think he still levels above a guy like Richards, and so he should win that fight. And then last thing, Mike, I saw Jamal Herring last weekend at the Quiet Canyon in Montebello for a club show that they had out here for Tom Loeffler. And I actually asked him, I said, is Shakur Stevenson really that good, Jamal? And he surprised me. He said, he is. He goes, the biggest thing that makes him a problem, and it's going to be a problem moving forward, is his speed and his ability to move and not get hit.
Yep.
He goes, as much as I would try to line him up to time him with my best shots, he goes, by the time I was trying to get to him, he was gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow. So to have a guy like him tell you that, I mean, that obviously means that he thinks the kid has legit, he's legit and he thinks he might be, a big star moving forward. So, all right, Mike, that's my call.
Thanks, Nacho. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Jamal Herring is one of the true, really good guys in the sport. And a big part of it is because he's just really honest and tells it like he sees it. I think he has a future in this sport. And if he wants to do commentating, he could, but also management, fighter management and stuff like that. Just stuff on the business side, because he has a really good mind for it. And he has an eye for things. He has a really good eye. If he really wanted to be a trainer, I think he could be a good trainer, but, or even promoter. But yeah, he's talked about Shakur several times, and he said that the kid's legit. And being ringside for that fight, I can tell you guys, Jamel was 110% focused. He really, really gave every ounce that he had in that fight. But Shakur is very good at anticipating punches, moving his feet and his body into position where you just can't hit the dude. You can't hit him clean. His fight with Oscar Valdez, I think it was only the third round where Valdez had real success. It was able to clearly win that round on my card, but that was pretty much it. Stevenson was able to just make adjustments after that. And yeah, Valdez is a smaller guy punching up at him. I get all that. At some point, Shakur is going to be at 35 and at 40, where the guys are bigger, they're longer, they're taller, and he's not going to get away with some of the things he's getting away with at 126 and 130. But pound for pound wise, the kid is really good. And Top Rank has done an outstanding job developing him. Had Stevenson, look, I'm going to sound like a prick, but had Stevenson signed with PBC or something, he wouldn't be half as sharp as he is right now, because he just would not have been developed the way he has been. It was smart of him to go with Top Rank and do what he did. And the success that he's having, I think that's why you saw pretty much the entire American 2020 Olympic boxing team sign with Top Rank. They looked at what Shakur Stevenson did with Top Rank, and they were like, oh shit, I want some of that. So they did such a good job with him that I think that's why you're going to see a lot of the young American prospects start going in that direction, because they just see how things were perfectly laid out and developed. And, you got to have a special fighter to do that with. But I just think that all in all, they did such a great job that they have the infrastructure to do that, especially in those weight classes. Now, maybe in some of the other weight classes, they don't. If you're a 154 prospect, maybe you go with PBC, right? But in and around those weight classes, 22, 18 up to 40 right now, I'm going with Top Rank if I'm coming out of the amateurs, the Olympics, whatever, because they have such a setup right there, Anyway, guys, we've been going for about an hour and a half. I see a bunch of you guys on hold. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to get to all of them. I'm going to get one more call. I'm going to go to Brooklyn here and take one last call, okay? And then we're going to wrap it up. But we're coming up on an hour and a half, and it's Friday, and it's time to get our weekend started. The wife just came through. She was peeking through the studio door a minute ago saying, I'm hungry. She's pregnant, guys. She's hungry. I got to listen to the woman. I got to go give her some food. So we're going to take one more quick call, okay? And then we're going to wrap it up. So 718, you're on the show. What's going on?
Yeah, how you doing? This is Oscar Suleiman.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I listen to your show all the time. Yeah, man. So, congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you.
And congratulations for that fight that you had. That was good, man. Hey, you lost by decision, but maybe you could get a rubber match where I got.
Yeah.
And you can win it.
Yeah, we're thinking about it.
Because So this fight here, I think this is a showcase fight for Benavidez, because that David Lemieux, he fights a little bit similar to the guy that he knocked out, that put him on the limelight. He fights a little bit like Porky Medina. I don't know if you know Porky Medina, the guy that he
Porky
knocked
Medina,
out.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, and he fought for a championship, but he lost. But that guy has a similar style to Lemieux, and that's the type of fighter that Benavidez looks fantastic in. So I think this fight is going to showcase. And after he wins this fight in a spectacular fashion, he's going to be pushing for that Canelo fight, or see if Canelo vacates that belt, and they just defend that belt and wait till Canelo vacates the rest. I don't think Canelo's going to. Everybody's saying that Canelo's going to come down to 160. I don't think so. I think he's going to stay at 175 because he's pushing for that rematch and stay up there. Because the way he looked comfortable at that weight. Even though he lost his fight, he didn't look that bad. The thing with him is that he was targeting the arm. He was trained. His whole training regimen was targeting the guy's arm and breaking him down. And this guy was 2 or 3 steps ahead of him in his boxing style. But he did do damage. He went the distance. That fight wasn't that bad. I mean, he didn't look that bad. He's still very marketable at 175. And then Triple G, I don't think Triple G is going to fight. He's going to fight Canelo for a third fight. I think he's going to stay at 160 because he's comfortable there. He's not going to move up, and he's going to defend those belts and try to unify there. Because I don't understand what he going to do. Vacate his belts to move up to 168. I don't think that's a good idea. Because he made $12.5 million plus against Piotr Morata, and a lot of people is pushing for a rematch in that fight. So he could cash in at 160 and then go out like that. You don't need a third fight. I know your wife is hungry and you got to get some dinner. And thank you very much for giving me a time to be in your show. And you have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you too, man. Have a great weekend. I will say this, Triple G could move up to 68, fight Canelo, but keep his 160 belts. So win or lose, he could go back down to 160 and defend those belts. So I still think it's very possible that we get the third fight between Canelo and Triple G. Jack Alter on the chat agrees with me. I just think there's too much money in that fight. There's just too much money in that fight for it to not happen. But if Canelo would rather fight Bivol and he goes for that fight, then perhaps it gets interesting. But if you're Golovkin, I think your second option, should Canelo go to push for the rematch with Bivol, like Ashkar was saying, then if you're Triple G, you fight Munguia, because you could do that fight. Hell, you could do that fight in LA and sell out Dodger Stadium. You really, really could. So there's options there, guys. Like I said before, though, these dudes need to make a decision and stop just like waiting around for everybody else to figure out their shit. CJ Duncan in the chat says Montero on parenting. MOP. MOP. That might be the new channel. Maybe at the end of the year. We'll find out. All right, guys. Have a great weekend, man. Call your moms. Tell them you love them. All right? Call your moms. Tell them you love them. All right, guys. I love you. And I'll see you Monday over on Ring's channel for TNC. All right?